Hi, I am Dehvan Moon, part of Group 3, Adolescence. As you can tell, I still haven't left it. Got all this video game nerdy, Marvel nerdy, mac and cheese, breakfast of champions. So, I'll be acting as your tour guide of sorts, and I warn you, this presentation is not for the faint of heart. Adolescents are known for their savage and unpredictable nature. They process the world through an often broken and crazed mindset, filled with hormones and stuff. This notion that adolescence is a period of extreme difficult times is completely untrue. Research has shown that most adolescents are well adjusted, get along with their peers, their parents, and they cope well with their emotions and their external environments. It's like we've been lied to or something.
Excuse me, fake news. I love that.
So it's important as social workers, I point to myself as a social worker, I'm not, but it's important as future social workers to recognize that these are myths. But it's important that we recognize that there are factors that adolescents are dealing with that many other groups aren't. Let's talk about those things. Those things are confidentiality, self-esteem, independence, moral development, and egocentrism. All of these things affect the communication that goes on with adolescents, the attitudes, the emotions, the regulations. So let's move into confidentiality. Why is this important to adolescents? It's important to note that adolescents are less likely to seek out care than any other age group. This is because they're afraid to communicate the truth, because they are afraid of the ramifications that might come from that truth. Those fears are parental retribution, lack of understanding, and a damaged reputation and self-worth. These are just some of the concerns cited by adolescents when it comes to finding some help. Now, this is especially true for sexually active adolescents who are unaware of doctor-patient confidentiality laws, rules, what's going on, what their parents can know and can't know. The reality is that most providers have to report child abuse, maybe rape. These things do need to be reported, and that can be an issue as well. It makes a giant barrier for many of these adolescents to even climb that thing. Seems very difficult. So how do we ascend up this barrier of shame that comes from confidentiality, things like that? Well, we have a few guidelines as social workers that we could do. One, be clear to your clients about confidentiality and how it works within the social work setting. Number two is to encourage adolescents to involve their parents, especially with decisions that seem important or necessary. Number three, all social workers should be following confidentiality laws, and they should be letting the adolescents know of the limits of those laws. Number four, tying on top of that, got to be aware of state-specific laws that deal with confidentiality. Next, let's talk about self-esteem.
Well, I'm here to tell you that you're probably going to find out as you go out there that you're not going to amount to jack squat.
Self-esteem is a major detriment to general mental health. And during the early years of adolescence, ages 11 to 14, self-esteem plummets. And I understand because my 11 to 14-year-old time frame, not good. Not a fan. Hate relationship there. Not in love, hate. During these years, adolescents are highly self-conscious and their self-perceptions are easily manipulated by others. And emotions during this time are fluctuating on polar opposites really quickly, much quicker than adults. Adults, you'll be seeing fluctuations within hours, maybe. Adolescents, you'll be seeing it in minutes. The great news, however, despite 11 and 14 being awful, dealing with the fluctuating emotions, dealing with all the depressive crap, all the self-doubt, all that stuff, turns out you'll live through it, because most do. Most make it past that age, and when they do, they come out with about the same amount of self-esteem as they had before. So in the end, it's all roses, baby. It's all growth. But yeah, it's still sucks. It's Now, as potential social workers, what strategies do we have to help with self-esteem, especially for adolescents? Here's a list. One is to encourage healthy achievement, focusing mostly on achieving and not so much about, oh, I got number one, first place. Just the fact that you've done it and you've achieved it. That's good. That's good enough. We'll take it, okay? Promoting confidence in a specific area is really great. It's a good way to be like, hey, you're good at this specific thing. Way to go, pal. We also would like to foster peer and parental support. Develop coping skills. Develop the skills that you need to get through the hard times. These strategies are very important for a group like adolescents that really puts a lot of focus on short-term goals. They really believe that short-term goals are like the end of the world. Like if they do not succeed at this small goal, then it's all over. It's done. Now on to independence. As potential social workers, we need to be aware of adolescents' need for independence. Let me go, baby. Let my people go, said Moses in something. Now, as potential social workers, what are we doing to help foster this new independence that these adolescents are seeking? Parents also need to be aware of the function they have when it comes to independence. That their level of connectedness with their adolescent may cause them to develop more slowly into adulthood. The more unwilling to let go of their child and let them grow, the more stunted that child becomes. Now, adolescents will also find themselves within stage 3 of moral development. This stage is known as conformity. So ways we can help adolescents help their parents navigate this moral dilemma, where conformity is king, is to 1, be independent yourself, that the parents should be independent themselves. 2, talk openly about the values of independence. 3, role play the pressures of conformity, what might happen when peer pressure comes on you. Let's role play, let's figure it out, let's talk it out, let's give you some talking points of how you can be like, homeboy, I ain't conforming. Let's do some independence. That's how the cool kids talk.
What you talking about, Willis?
4, help young people understand themselves, like the cool stuff about you. I like this about you. This is really cool about you. Number 5, put popularity into perspective. Number 6 is to challenge group thought, to challenge group think. What's the issues with it? Now, adolescents also deal with an intense sense of self. They have an egocentric point of view, believing that they are the sole focus of their peers, their parents, everybody. Everybody's on this guy. It's that kind of egocentrism. It's not like, hey, look at me, I'm so great. It's like, hey, this sucks. I'm the only person that's being looked at under a microscope. Look at me, I'm so self-conscious about everything. That's the type of egocentrism we're talking about here. Now you mix this with the personal fable, where adolescents believe that they are basically invincible and they're unique. This helps to create a personality that often feels misunderstood and judged. How could you ever understand someone so unique as this wonderful adolescent before you? Not me, but somebody. All of these communication styles, attitudes, beliefs, emotions, they all help define adolescence. Now, the last component we have yet to touch on is about minority groups, how this affects them differently than old whitey. What's up? Now, it seems in the case of African American adolescents that though they may be experiencing a lot more discrimination, social and educational barriers, things like that in their youth, they do not suffer worse self-esteem, which is great, which is amazing, which is pretty cool. Now, issues within this scope of minority, you are going to have 2 cultures bashing together, really fighting for it, right? Who's going to win this one? Creating a difficult choice. Do you assimilate or do you get alienated? And that is a constant battle, constant push and pull. Now, minorities within the area of independence. Some cultures, like Hispanic cultures, foster more interdependence among their families, making it so Hispanic adolescents, more often than their white peers, are going for their parents' preferences, lifestyles, religious beliefs, political beliefs. All that stuff is more intertwined because of the way they put family first and the connections there. So be aware of cultural differences. Some people are not going to be all down for independence, and like That's totally cool too. Now, another minority group that is having troubles figuring out their identity is trans people. These individuals are struggling with gender identity related challenges, and parents are hugely important for this. Adolescents with parents that are supportive and empathetic of their situation will increase a trans adolescent's well-being. Now, this parental support is a huge deal. It's a protective factor in dealing with emotional and physical challenges that trans people are facing. However, more research is needed to find out the specifics of what attributes or attitudes parents need to help their trans adolescents. That is it for me, at least.
Smithers, are they booing me?
No, they're saying Boo Earns. Boo Earns.
Are you saying boo or boo earns?
I was saying Boo Earns.